Okay, I got the body back on. I'm noticing a lot of different stuff. One, this is really tight, and I know the body shouldn't be touching a lot of different places. I've noticed this right here is real tight, just on the end, especially that side right there. You can tell by the crushed, and this one here, just at the bottom there, in the back I should say, not the bottom. Trim that up so that's not as crushed. I got that cubby, well, right there. It needs to go down some. The body's just sitting up real high right now. So that spot there, right in here, there's not enough gap, so I'm gonna have to actually cut this, open that up even more. I guess about another 1/2 inch. I thought maybe this rolling all the way down would be the way to go, but more like roll it down into stop. So looking at that right there, I need to probably take a good 1/2 inch off there. So it should just roll down and stop, not go forward, or not go, yeah, roll down and go forward. It should just roll down and then stop. As you can see, I'll show the gauge over there. Anyway, that lines up well. Now over here, if you look at that bracket there. Now this is not tight, this is just sitting here. You see the lower part there. It's close to the body, but it's not touching it. And you go over here, the lower radiator mount is up against it. Obviously it's not lined up yet, but, and everything's just loose. It's just sitting there. And then over here, there's quite about a 1/2 inch gap there. And there's no gap here. Now, granted, I can pick it up and move it around, but it just seems tight. And over here, it's right up against it. And the body down below is down and wrapped around the way it should be. So, got a crack there. It's not in my work, it's actually part of the vinyl ester resin body, right against the gauge. So part of that lip, I marked it once before that I needed to cut it, and I guess I forgot to cut it. I had it marked before, but I guess I forgot to cut it. So I had this idea once before that this lip needed to go down, around, and stop, not go forward. So, and as you can see how tight it is there. Yeah, it's gotta change. But over here, the body's sticking up. It's sticking up here. It's sticking up back here too. I know it seems like that would be an obvious problem somewhere that would cause it all to go down, but I'm not sure exactly what that is. Because back here, I know the end needs to be trimmed, but the top up here, it's not touching. Well, it is touching, but it's not like forcing it up. You can see the bulb seal is not crushed down. It is right there, but well, that might be it. No, it's not enough for it to cause that much. So the body is causing quite a bit of issues with just not knowing which way to go with it. The bulb seal up under here is not even crushed. Get a light in here. Can't really get in there to see. But the bulb seal right there, it's crushed in right there. You can see it better here. The bulb seal's crushed right here, but up top it doesn't even really touch. You can see the bulb seal along there too. I guess I just gotta keep whittling away at the aluminum. to get it to fit right. Yeah, there at the very end, it needs to be trimmed. That would push the whole body forward, actually. But if it pushes it forward, that would cause that to be even tighter up there on the dash. Which in the manual it says to make sure that you trim this back at least a ½ inch. And right here it's pretty tight against the dash. The dash does move a little bit though. Yeah. All right, so I know for sure I gotta trim this dash back. Another thing I'm noticing in the book, the further I go in the manual, I'm noticing that they say to mount the mirror here in the center, but then they talk about mounting some plastic pieces here to screw into the fiberglass and then into the plastic pieces. Well, unless you can reach up under the dash, which I'm pretty sure I can, reach under the dash, fish through all the wiring, and then hold those plastic nuts on there, you can't really do that. So maybe that part of the instructions would have been nice to have it in the a little further along than page 500 and something. So anyway, at least I found it before it really caused any trouble, but I could always mount it on the windshield, but kind of want to mount it where the instructions say to mount it, which is nicer, is on the dash for the rearview mirror. But, so that's where I'm at, trying to figure it out. Okay, I kind of went through, moved the panels and stuff along here just to see if those were actually tight, even back here in the back. I was pushing them around, and they're not pressed against there. They're not too tight. Nothing along there, turn a light on here, nothing along there is too tight. So the aluminum looks fine. So I was going back through, and I noticed that I have done a mod here, and I want to say it's Kleiner mod. I'm sure that's a guy's name. Kleiner did this mod where he used this coupler. Instead of taking these bolts from the back forward, which in turn made you have to take the fuel tank out. As you can see right here, the bolts go in from where the fuel tank is right here. So that's all filled in with fuel tank and drop trunk and everything. So that long bolt, this long bolt, won't go through there like that. Here it is here. So I put this in with the short 1.75 spacers on the inside with the coupler. All right, well, that worked for a while, but I noticed that 1.75 is what I had here in addition to the coupler. That's this. Was about a ½ inch too long, maybe, or a quarter of an inch too long. So I cut it off. So I cut that end off. So this now, instead of a 1.75, is a 1.5. So that's my plan, is to, as you can see, I took it out here, is to put 1.5 in there, thereby moving the body forward. So if the back mounts are where you start, and I had it a quarter inch too far back, that might explain a few things. So I put it a quarter inch forward, or I'm gonna cut all 4 of them quarter inch forward, move the whole body forward. That should relieve pressure from here, from the striker mounts, door striker mounts. It's gonna keep it from being so tight against the rear firewall. Gonna cause me to have to cut this, like I said earlier, and push it away from the body on this side and on this side where it really needs it. Yeah, it really needs it there. So I think that might be a good thing. I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, see, that's really pressed against there. It's too much. So that's what I'm doing. I've already cut this one down, 1/4 inch. That's how much I cut off of it. And cleaned it up. So now it's a ½ inch. ½ inch spacer, or 1.5 inch. So now get the others off. Get that cut down. Okay, I got these cut down to 1.5 inches now versus 1.75. 1.75, cut them down to 1.50. See what I can do now. Shortening those up, those spacers up, left the bolts too long. So I'm having to cut them down a little. Okay, I just did two bolts and well, 4 spacers, 2 bolts. Anyway, got them in there. I moved it forward, obviously. Looks like it's going in the right direction. Forward. Anyway, this is on top of the strike plate now. Still touching it, but it's on top and it has nowhere near as much pressure as it did. Also, pushed it off of the gauge. You can see a little bit of light in between the gauge and the body. So that's a good sign. It's not pushing everything tight like I figured it might. It's not. It's still got movement. The bulb seal's not completely crushed. This side's got a little bit more space. Not much space, but it's sitting on top of the strike plate mount, just like that side. Not as much pressure against it, that's what I mean. Still got room in between here, not much, but I know I need to cut that. This side here is not nearly as tight, it actually moves. This needs to come down though. Yeah, it's nowhere near as tight as it was. So relieve pressure there. I don't know if you can see that there, but that bulb seal is completely crushed there. And that's the section that I put in a firewall. That's just one small section. It's a little tight there. As you can see in here, all the way back there. All the way back there, you can see how tight it is there. Of course, I can't reach it. It's all the way back in there. I'm looking through the headlight bucket right now. Or, well, through the headlight hole where the bucket goes. But anyway, when I take the body off, I'm going to trim that a little bit up there. Just knock it down a little bit. The bulb seal is completely crushed, so I can play with it quite a bit and still have, I think that bulb seal is like almost 3/4 of an inch worth of material there, that sponges. Still have the gap here and here, which I should. Just pushing it forward isn't going to make that difference. That's going to be, you know, moving everything side to side. And this side here, you can't really see much in there against the firewall, that is. But over here, you can see that it's not crushed. Over here, it's not completely crushed either against the firewall. It's just that one side over there, which may answer the question of why this whole side is up just a little bit. I guess it would only take one spot. Raise this up, which this is high. Over here it's high. It does move here, but then again it's fiberglass, it's gonna flex. I'm thinking there's extra stress right here. And I can actually feel it. I can feel the lump right here. So right here is where it's doing it. So yeah, I can feel it coming up. Yeah, that's stress. That would have cracked right along here if I wouldn't have found that. All right, so I'm gonna trim this back, trim this down a little bit here, the aluminum that is, and then that should bring everything down a little bit. Now that I've brought it forward, it'll clear these strike plates. In theory, of course, it'll clear them once I bring. All right, I just took the body off again. The biggest eater of this bulb seal is the body. Just pulling it off and on, it just hammers it. May need to get some more of this stuff. But, so over here, this is the piece. This piece was here, it was completely crushed down. And this was causing the body to kind of curve over it. So this is most definitely got to be cut down. And I'm gonna cut this side down too. It doesn't really need this side that much, but I'm gonna knock it down too. I couldn't really see what was going on here. I do know that this was crushed, but it wasn't like smashed like it was right here. So this right here would have caused some cracks in the body. This piece here didn't seem that bad. It was crushed, but it wasn't smashed. So I may, since I'm here, I may trim down just a tiny. All right, we got the body off the buck now. And now I'm gonna flip it over and cut this out. Got started and almost forgot to start the video. So all of those marks there are from when the body was on, and different times when the body was on. And I planned on making this cut. I did it. All I did was sand it. I didn't cut it. So now I'm gonna cut it. I'm not gonna sand it. I'm not gonna jack around with it. I'm gonna knock a piece off this damn thing so I can get this thing mounted in there. It's getting kind of late in the season. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it with a cutting wheel, just because I think it'll make a less mess. I was just gonna go ahead and grind it, but I'm gonna stop playing around with it. I know that I've done them all different ways. I'm gonna do it this side here too. I'm gonna take a little bit more off here, especially the center. But I'm gonna take it all the way across. Not into the corners because there's more than enough room there, but it's straight across this back that's an issue. So I'm gonna take that now. Cut down the firewall piece here. Just use the cutting wheel, knock it out like that. Just marked it and cut it. And since I was doing that, I cut it down so low that this hole here for, I'm assuming this is where the windshield comes through, the windshield shaft and their mount. So I cut this down a little bit lower too, since I had taken it so low. I cut off probably about a ½ inch up here, and then just kind of tapered it off here to about maybe a ¼ inch, and then tapered it down here. So just trying to keep it looking neat. but hopefully it won't put so much stress on that body now. All right, I got the body flipped upside down still. And found a couple spots here that I need to take care of. Right there's a little gap right here, so I need to fill that in. And this one here is a real bad one. You can see the gel coat moving. Well, it's a little bit more than the gel coat, but this one here, I'm thinking about putting some short strand fiberglass in there. Here I might just wipe on some resin and push it in there a little bit. Probably just touch it up all through here. Let's get some small spots there, nothing big, but still I want to take care of that. Don't see it anywhere else. Got a little spot right here. I'll dig on that, or I already dug on it a little bit with a pick tool to make sure that it wasn't wax, but no, it's a little bit of fiberglass. It's looking all ready. A little bit here too. Still got wax and grease remover on there that I just put in there. That's what that is. A little spot right there. So, gotta hit those spots. Then I get this thing flipped back over and maybe get it back on the car. Alright, I got the short hair fiberglass in there. Just wait until that completely cures. Now I got this taped up. I'm getting ready to put some resin in there. All the way across the top part right there. Well, not all the way across, but a couple spots there. And one spot right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and put some resin in that spot there. And in this spot. Some more little fiberglass patch touches. I had to fill in a void right there. Air bubble, that's what it was. Cut this off the front of the dash. Cut probably about a 1/4 inch off of that. Found an air bubble in there. So filled it in with some resin. Cut the rear firewall off too, but didn't see any bubbles there. I spoke too soon. I see a little one right here. All right, so I got that's the short hair fiberglass filler. It's in there and sanded. Looks pretty good. Doesn't really matter what it looks like inside here. The engine don't care. It's the only thing that's going to see it, that and the radiator. But it's nice and solid, so if I do grab it, it's not going to poke through. Same thing here. This is the gel coat that not gel coat. This is the resin that I put in there, and it filled in the spot really well. There too. There's a couple of the smaller spots along here that I did too. While I had an opportunity to get to this area, this is the area where I put the fiberglass and mounted the studs for the vents. I went ahead and just used some rattle can black paint just to clean that up a little bit on both of them. So now, looking through the hood, when you look straight across, you will see the vents, but you won't see the green and then the red, and the green from the fiberglass and the red from the gel coat here. So they look a lot better. And right along here, went ahead and sprayed this too, just in case I happen to be looking up under the dash, right up next to the gauges. I won't see red. I'll see black, or not see anything. That's kind of the idea. Just black, blend it right in, fits right in the shadows. Alright, that's where I'm at so far with the front end. Just use the jack to get it lined up. tightened up in there. Those bolts are just in there just for guides. Got it centered up. Same over here. Bolts are just guides. They're not tight, they're just sitting in there. They won't go there to begin with. They're just, like I say, they're just guides. And the body's right where it needs to be. It's mounted solid in the back. Back here it's mounted. These are not the right length. They're just there for now. This one's still a little loose, but they're right where they need to be. Same height, or not height, but same width, distance from the tire on the other side. This side, same height from here to the floor, the bottom of this fender to the floor on both sides. And the center is right in line with the X member, right there in the center. So she's straight. I think I may go ahead and mount the turn signals on here just to lock it down. Well, that's where I'm at right now.